wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up. This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's 13-14.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Wrestling fans all over the world, hello everyone and welcome to episode 92 of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. It is me, it's hateful, back with you for another installment. And today's episode is going to be a little bit different today, guys. We're going to talk Raw, we're going to talk Smackdown, and we're going to talk ICW. That's right, Insane Championship Wrestling, because NXT had the best of. It's got to that time of year where we have the best of NXT and the best of Ring of Honor as well. And I don't know what the hell TNA are doing, but I know they're preparing for their live show on Pop TV. Coming up very soon, this week, in fact, as this goes out. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, there's only going to be 3 wrestling companies we're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk Raw, like I said, we're going to talk Smackdown, and we're going to talk ICW as well. A 2-hour edition of episode 4 of season 2, or series 2, of Insane Fight Club. So, that will be to come on this very podcast. Hope you're all well in whatever it is you are doing. Hope you all enjoyed SoCal Val this past week if you went there. Hope she was good and everything at Birkenhead in Liverpool at the Mystery Island, our partners. Just a quick note as well, speaking of websites and partners and all that. I have my Weebly website, as you already know, theanthonywalker.net. I'm in the process of creating a Wix site as well. So I'm working on that. I'll work on that again this week. I haven't had time to. I started it last week, but I haven't had time to continue with it because I've been busy. So I will do the best I can with it this week. Tomorrow, another Raw review, so be sure to check that out as well on the Wrestling Matters channel, youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters as well. And also, guys, we're going on the Swerve Network. It has been done. It's a done deal. I don't know when it's going to be done. I'll have to talk to Daz. Shout out to everybody at Max Wrestling UK. Be sure to look out for them. They'll be on the podcast very, very soon as well. Maybe sooner than you think. And, I'm going... Wrestling Matters Podcast will be joining the family of Max Wrestling UK. That's right, it's Max Wrestling, it's Offshoot Radio, it's our buddies, my boys at Sunday Segway, Kenny Killhead, Sugar Shugs as well. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick off this week. Part 2, we'll see the Raw audio as well, but I want to kick off this week with an article that caught my eye this week, very much so. The top 15 most selfish wrestlers of all time. And it was very interesting as well because there was a lot of things that were here that I actually didn't know about when I read through the articles. And like I said, top 15, and number 15 was Bret Hart. And we all know why, because of what happened in Montreal in 1997. As you all know, leading in, everybody wanted him to drop the title to Shawn in Montreal because he was leaving for WCW. He wouldn't do it, hence the screw job. And we all know how that turned out. And his own ego, he didn't want to lose to Shawn in Montreal. He didn't want to lose to Canada. In Canada, to Shawn, he wanted to go out the next night on Monday Night Raw and hand the belt over and then leave. But Vince wasn't having none of that because of what Bischoff did with the women's title. He wasn't going to allow that to happen to the WWE title. So we all know, like I say, if you remember 1997, I've always said that Survivor Series is the night that kayfabe died. We all talk about kayfabe. That was the night that kayfabe died, in my opinion. Even though people are still trying to bring kayfabe back, it's just very difficult. Number 14 was Bruiser Brody. reading this article, like I say, I'll put the link in the description below on YouTube and SoundCloud as well, guys. So be sure to check that out as well. Reading this article on Bruiser Brody, I mean, he got into a fight with Lex Luger in Florida. He was a pain in the ass to most promoters, and which led with some of the earnings that he got. He never got to enjoy because he was stabbed to death in Puerto Rico. I don't condone anybody getting stabbed or anybody getting murdered, but, I mean, reading this article, you'd probably think karma. At least the people who he pissed off would probably think karma. I personally don't, because I wasn't around for Bruiser Brody back in the day. So I don't know what Bruiser Brody as a wrestler was like back in the day. I never got to see Bruiser Brody wrestle. I've seen this stuff on YouTube and all that, but I wasn't around for his downfall or whatever. I mean, people, what I mean by karma, that's what probably the promoters and the people he pissed off, because he pissed off a lot of people. Now, number 13 was the Road Warriors, and it mentions that the reason why these guys were considered jerks or selfish people, selfish wrestlers in the wrestling business, is because there was the drug abuse with Hawk and everything. Plus, they reportedly wouldn't do jobs for the Rockers, or wouldn't put the Rockers over, or guys like the Rockers. And plus, they were supposed to lose, I think, according to this, Vince wanted them to lose the tag team titles on TV to the Natural Disasters. But they openly refused to do that, which instead had them lose the title to Money Inc. They had them drop the titles to Money Inc. at a house show. That's what you get when you don't do the stuff, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't care what anyone says, the Road Warriors are the best tag team ever in professional wrestling, but back in the day, they were egotistical. Number 12 was Buddy Rogers. This stuff goes back to when he was the NWA champion. He did things his own way. He wasn't reliable. He only agreed, he rubbed promoters the wrong way. He only agreed to drop the title to Lou Thesz under the threat that they were giving away his $25,000 savings bond, which was a bond that like a deposit that they would put on when you were the NWA champion back in the day. Rogers dropped the WWF title to Bruno Sammartino in '63. He wasted no time putting out a story of having been recovering from a heart attack. He loses the title to Bruno Sammartino, and then puts out a story that he was recovering from a heart attack because he lost the title to Sammartino. That's too much. That is too much. And then he would later feud with Ric Flair over the Nature Boy name, with rumors of Rogers actually wanted to go over in at least one match over the much younger challenger. Oh boy. I mean, like I say, guys, I'll put the article of where this is going. I'll put the article all in the description, and you can read it for yourself below. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Some of the stuff that people were like, man, I mean, egotistical and egos clashed back in the day. I mean, number 11 was Fritz von Erich, and we all know, what he was like back in the day. I mean, if you watch the Rise and Fall of WCCW on the network or on DVD, if you've got the DVD of that, you all know what he was like. This guy, all he did back in the day was push his sons, and he even forced one of his sons to be a wrestler when he didn't want to be a wrestler. I mean, there was one time that Kerry Von Erich was stoned out of his mind against Ric Flair, with the story being that he had the flu, but he wasn't. He was stoned out of his mind. He was trying to cover up these little things, but at the end of the day, he thought his sons were the bee's knees. It was just, and like I say, if you watch the DVD, the Rise and Fall of WCCW, you'd understand. Number 10 was Jerry Lawler. Now, there was two things. One, he was 80 times, that's right, 80 times he held the Southern and USWA Championship. I mean, that's not a numerous. And then he won numerous tag team titles, and even the AWA title. There his ego got big when he feuded with Kerry Von Erich, and it won the WCCW title, but never gave up the AWA belt in return. He had fantastic feuds he had a fantastic feud at the time, but Lawler would always be one coming out on top, and his articles could not get out of hand, or his antics Could not get out of hand. Sorry, when I say articles, therefore, I don't know. But his attitude has now softened, as we all know. But, I mean, that was the two. I mean, he won the AWA title, but he wouldn't give it the belt back. You know, he won the Undisputed, the Unified title and everything, and that's why he created the Unified World title in Memphis. He gave back the WCCW belts and the AWA belt and kept the Unified title. You know, it was crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Number 9 was Mil Mascaras, you know, the man of 1,000 masks. You know, I mean, this guy was well known for not taking bumps. I mean, you know, or not selling, if you will. Foley and Superstar Billy Graham will vouch for that. Again, you can read the article yourself in the description below. Number 8 was Kevin Nash. Now, I don't know about this. I mean, if you're talking about his WCW run, maybe. Because Bischoff put him in charge of booking. And this guy booked himself to the point where he ended the Goldberg streak, So if you're talking about that, yeah, maybe. And it does talk about that in the article. But it wasn't really that much. I mean, there was times when he was a bit of a douche with, the Click back in the day and everything. But that wasn't near the hero there. I mean, I think the article mainly talks about him when, like I said, when he booked himself to end the Goldberg streak back in WCW. And then there was the finger point of doom to allow Hogan to win the world title in the most unbelievable Nitro, probably in Nitro's history. Number 7 is Triple H. Now, this guy's had a lot of douchey things. This guy had trouble putting Goldberg over. When Goldberg had the run and he beat him at Unforgiven, he had trouble putting Goldberg over. I mean, this guy wouldn't even put Booker T over. I mean, remember WrestleMania 19? All that, jailbird and stuff like that and everything. Booker T was meant to win that match at WrestleMania, but Triple H wouldn't allow it. He even got, there was guys that could have had titles on, Booker T. Rob Van Dam could have had a title run against him. Jericho, this guy only cared about himself. I mean, he'd put Batista over and guys like that, and then there was the time where he'd even beat up lower guys like Eugene, and there was a time where Orton won the world title at 2004 SummerSlam by beating Chris Benoit. Yes, I'm allowed to say that on this show because it's my show and I do what the fuck I want. I'm not WWE. And then 1 month later, Triple H basically yanked the title from under Randy Orton. There was all that kind of stuff as well. And I can give you a list of what Triple H has done. I mean, look at last year's WrestleMania. You wouldn't even put Sting over. All this big hype for Sting's first match at WrestleMania against it ends up against Triple H, and then he loses. Really? Like I said, I could give you a list. I mean, the only thing Triple H is doing good at the moment right now is NXT. Number 6 is Shawn Michaels. I think this is referring to his Click days. I mean, he wouldn't put Davey Boy Smith over in a match, dedicated to his dead Sid. I mean, I could give you a lot of things about this as well. I mean, there was a Bret Hart antics as well, refusing to put Bret Hart over at any time. He just, like I said, I mean, and hell, at one point, he didn't even want to give the title up to Austin at WrestleMania because he had a back injury at the Royal Rumble going into the match at WrestleMania. This guy wouldn't even want to give the title up. I mean, Jim Cornette tells a good story about that as well. But, yeah, he eventually ended up doing, and that's what he, there's a lot of douchey things about Shawn Michaels back in the day before his second run, if you read the titles. Number 5 really surprised me, but because it was Dusty Rhodes. But Dusty Rhodes was known for bad, awful booking decision. Chuck Baxter being one of them. I mean, even in this article here, at one point, and I remember this because it was supposed to be a match. It was Ric Flair. I believe these two had a match. Ric Flair and Rick Steiner. I believe there was a match. I know Scott Steiner had a shot at the NWA title. I don't know if these two ever had a match, but I'm pretty sure they did. It was Ric Flair against Rick Steiner, and he wanted Ric Flair to lose the title in a 5-minute match against Rick Steiner. Questionable decisions, and he'd always book himself. There was the Midnight Rider stuff as well. I mean, Dusty Rhodes was a legend in the professional wrestling business, no doubt about it. Booking-wise, questionable to say the least. Like I said, read that article for yourself. Jeff Jarrett is number 4. Now, I know why Jeff Jarrett's number 4. It's got nothing to do with WCW. It's got nothing to do with WWE. It was TNA back in the day. This guy would not give up the NWA Championship back in the day. This guy had more runs with the NWA title than probably anybody in TNA, and this guy, was going back, he's NWA champion. This guy wouldn't relinquish the title on occasions. That was the reason why he's in this number 4. I mean, if you go back to the early days, the early days of TNA, back when TNA was actually watchable, will it be watchable this coming, when it goes on Pop TV, who knows? Wishful thinking, but hey, let's hope so. Back in the day when Jeff Jarrett was running TNA, the founder, and he was the boss of TNA, this guy put the belt on him many, many times. And the belt being the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. That's why, there was times that we'd beat the odds with Raven. He would do stuff that back in the day, because he was the owner and all that and the founder. He would do stuff back in the day, and like I say, you can go and watch it. Check out TNA's YouTube channel, or go and find the old TNA pay-per-views, the weekly pay-per-views they used to do. This guy would do things that even John Cena would be proud of. Super Cena, people say it. Back then it was Super Jarrett. Believe you me. And that's why he's number 4 in the countdown. Number 3 was Vern Gagne. Now, this guy, the reason why this guy was a selfish wrestler is because he partnered up with Jerry Lawler to embark on Super Clash 3 and kept the profits for himself. He even did some merchandise stuff with Hulk Hogan and wouldn't give Hogan a fair cut of the profits, which led to them two button heads, and the reason why he left, and the reason why Hogan left. Hogan left for WWE. At the end of the day, the main reason is he just wouldn't change with the times. That's why, at the end of the day, you never want to see a wrestling company fail. At least I don't. I never even want the WCW to go out of business, or ECW for that matter. But if you don't change with the times and keep up with the times, you fall. And Vern Gagne soon got a glimpse of that. Number 2 is old Nature Boy. That's right, and I ain't talking Buddy Rogers, I'm talking Ric Flair. A lot of things this guy, did. It came to light that he wouldn't drop the title to Lex Luger in '88, despite how monster over Luger was. He had matches against Hawk and Ricky Morton where they had no chance of winning the belt. It was just more Flair cheating to win. He did drop it to Steamboat, but quickly regained it and immediately went into feuding with Terry Funk. That Flair turned face. He did lose to Sting, but when the business got bad, he agreed to become the Black Scorpion just so he can be the champ again. I remember that very well. But I don't think many of this was his fault. I think it was just what to call it, a lot of stuff. And Ole Anderson, maybe a bit of Jim Herd and stuff like that. Flair going to WWE as well with the belt. You can understand that. That was Jim Herd's fault, that. Freaking douchebagonomics. And, there's a lot of stuff that he's done. I tend to believe a majority of the stuff that it says here in this article about him. I don't think it was his fault, to be honest. That's just my opinion on it. I might be wrong, like I said. And, of course, number 1. We all know who number 1 is, don't we? Brother Terry Gene Bollea. Better known to everybody as Hulk Hogan. Now, there's a lot of stuff to this. The main priority when he was champion and he won the title, him winning the title at WrestleMania 9, shoving Bret Hart down, and he wouldn't even give him his rematch. There was the finger point of doom in WCW, him going to TNA, and from what it was, ripping it to bits. Heck, the biggest douchey thing that he did in TNA was all this build-up for Bobby Roode to win the World Championship at Bound for Glory against Kurt Angle, and then he tweets, Bobby's not ready for it yet. So that's why they had the screw job finish with Kurt Angle, because because apparently Bobby Roode was not ready for it. Watch it, man. It's just ridiculous. And then he left, and when he finally left TNA, he did it by quitting, not getting fired, making Dixie look like a fool, which is, in a way, not easy. Not the hardest thing to do, making Dixie look like a fool. She does it herself most of the time. And then in WCW, all that build-up in '97 between Hogan and Sting, leading into Starrcade, this guy, from what it says here, he refused to job cleanly to Sting. He wouldn't lose to Sting cleanly, which ultimately fucked up the whole build-up to the match and ruined the whole match itself. That's why the whole Bret Hart thing happened when he came down and, stuff like that. Which led to Hogan facing Sting, I believe 2 months later at Super Brawl. Starcade Part 2 at Super Brawl in 98. A lot of stuff that happened. But if you want to read that for yourself, guys, check it out. I'll put the article in the description below on YouTube and SoundCloud as well. Be sure to check that out. It's quite interesting. But as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, number one, Hulk Hogan, the most selfish wrestler of all time. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut part 1 there. I'll be back right after this quick timeout in what could be a very short episode of the Wrestling Matters podcast today. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how things pan out, because like I said, we're only talking about Raw, Smackdown and ICW today, and Raw audio will be played next. So the Raw review will be next right after this, and I'll be back after that with Smackdown review and ICW. So stay tuned. Plus, a little bit more. So, I'll see you after this. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. What's happening, peeps? It's me at HEAD, the host of the Wrestling Matters podcast, here back with another Raw review. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to start off with a little something. Yesterday was Raw. I came home from work yesterday, the other work that I do besides what I'm doing here for you people, entertaining you lovely people here. I came home yesterday and I was completely fucked from working the butter ground. The minute I walked through the door of my house, all I was asking for was my bed. And I went to bed and I never got up until 7 o'clock the next day, i.e. today. Now, for some strange reason, my bastard TiVo here that I've got for Virgin Media didn't decide to tape Raw, although I have sorted that out for next week. So, I didn't get to see Raw the minute I woke up, although, thankfully, thank God, to a website, I managed to check out Raw. That's right. I did eventually get to see it. Thank you, God. Thank you to the website. I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Some of you may know it if you're wrestling fans like me. Some of you may, have checked it out and that. I'm not going to promote it, so don't even ask. But I did get to see Monday Night Raw. It was an okay show. Very okay show. But it seems that from what I got, the shock factor, in a way, is back. Not a lot. Not 100%. But it seems that it's back, in a way. Not, like I said, not a lot. It seems that it's slowly coming back. Reason being, kicked off Raw, Mr. McMahon came out and called out the world champion. And one thing led to another. They had a verbal back and forth contest, like a verbal back and forth match. And Mr. McMahon eventually ended up getting arrested because Stephanie came out after Roman shoved Vince McMahon on his ass. Apparently he had his neck, whatever. Stephanie came out, wanted them to arrest, and then the cops didn't take no bullshit from them. The cops didn't take no crap from Stephanie or Vince, for that matter. Vince grabbed down one of the cops for threatening Stephanie and threatening to arrest Stephanie. She backed off. Vince grabbed out of them, and they arrested Vince. And it was all hell breaking loose. And it was good to see something like that. But considering what happened, they made an idiot out of Vince. Really made an idiot out of Vince. Later on during the show, they showed him the photo, the picture taken. It's just ridiculous. But it's good to see something like that because when was the last time you saw, when was the last time we saw anything, or when was the last time we saw, anybody getting arrested on Raw since Stephanie in that Nikki Bella situation? It's very rare that happens. I might need to come back a little bit more often because it gives that edginess. Yes, Stephanie got arrested, but Vince got arrested, and with Stephanie, you didn't see the photo taking of Vince, his picture taken and everything like that. We saw it with Vince. So maybe, they might want to go up to that route kind of a bit more. But it was a good way to start. Good way to start off Raw. And Roman Reigns was just loving every minute of it. The first match of the evening lasted about 15 seconds. Neville versus Kevin Owens. And again, shock factor. Kind of ruins Kevin Owens in a way. But obviously Kevin Owens didn't take too kindly to it because he threatened to beat up. He beat up Neville after the match, and then I think they went to a commercial break and then came back. And the next minute, Neville's getting carried out, and Owens just clotheslines him, turns Neville inside out, and then Ambrose comes out and puts a stop to it, which he pays for. More on that later. But, obviously Kevin Owens didn't take too kindly to not getting that award, the Best Breakout Star of 2015 Slammy Award, which, to be honest with you, should have got. But, there might be something going down between them two. Because I don't think Owens is going to take that line down. And considering the beat down that Neville got, he won't stand for that. Guess who's coming to WrestleMania 32? The Rock. That's right. It was announced in Dallas. Rock is coming to WrestleMania 32. Doesn't surprise me one bit, but hey. Sasha went 1-on-1 with Becky Lynch based off of what happened last week on the SmackDown show when Team Bad poured eggnog over Becky at ringside. And just a standard Divas match, quite frankly. I disagree with the Brooklyn morons that shouted boring during the match. You ignorant fucks. Quite frankly. I love Brooklyn. I love New York. New York's one of the best cities in the world, if not the best city in the world. But I to them people who shouted boring, you need to go and fuck yourselves. Okay. Yes, it's not the best league. It's not the best division in WWE, but then you got two girls in there that can wrestle and kick ass. Keyword wrestle. Despite the fact they're stuck in the Divas division, and quite frankly, you guys have the audacity to sit there in your little seats and shout boring, which quite frankly pissed me off. But the numbers game got the better of Becky, and Banks gets the victory. I don't know where this division, the direction creative of the Divas division is going at the moment, but I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. I mean, it was just poor. The direction. New Day come out and give their 2 cents and still blame the fans for not winning Tag Team of the Year, which quite frankly, as much as I can't stand the New Day and as much as I despise the New Day and as much as I said on the Max Wrestling Podcast, by the way, Max Wrestling Podcast episode 1 and 2 are in the descriptions below featuring me, and you might want to check out episode 2. It's worth episode 2. Episode 41, part 2. Check it out. I did 2 recordings with them over Christmas. Number 2 is up there. The new one just came out. Episode 40 and 41. Check out episode 41. It's fucking hilarious. Okay? You will fucking die laughing. Okay? That is that from me. Check it out. All of the links will be in the description below. Check it out underneath in the description below on YouTube. Now, and check it out as well on Facebook as well, because this video at some point will be going up on Facebook. Where I can be pestered, that is. Anyway, back to the show. Kalisto comes out and beats and goes 1-on-1 with Kofi Kingston and beats him after, to come out with a clap thing. What the fuck is with that clap thing with Kofi? For fuck's sake. And then, Big E Langston coming out with his little wiggle dance that he does, except he was doing it with his backside. Watching it on Raw, getting a big view of his nice of his big fat backside and dance. Now, look, I said it on Max Wrestling Podcast. New Day can kiss my ass. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, Kalisto beats Kofi, which is no surprising because that guy's on a hot streak right now. It's kind of interesting what the WWE are trying to do with Kalisto since he's won the title, since he won the Slammy Award. He almost killed one of the Usos at TLC. You know, I wonder if they're. I've got to. That push is, you know, direct. You know, it's directing somewhere. I can't figure out where. Whether they're trying to make him now the new Rey Mysterio or something, I don't know. It's an interesting diconic way that's going with Kalisto. Now he's won, like I said, now he's won the Slammy Award, and now he fucking almost killed one of the Usos at TLC. Big E, anyway, he beats Kofi, and Big E and, New Day didn't take too kindly to it, so they challenged Sin Cara, and just when you thought Xavier Woods was going to grow a set, he goats Sin Cara into a one-on-one match, but it wasn't against Xavier Woods, it was against Big E, and Big E beats him, although it was a great effort by Sin Cara. So, 1-for-1, I guess, for the New Day in that one. But Sin Cara took a fall during the match, which apparently done him in. He didn't recover from it too much, which is why he lost to Big E. But I thought it was going to be 0-for-2 with New Day, but obviously I wasn't. And, well, let's face it, New Day have had a bad December, so hopefully things will pick up. Now, Miz TV was on, and it featured Goldust, Ryback, Zack Ryder, Truth, and Heath Slater, and The Big Show eventually came down and raised all kinds of hell. They were trying to make statements, all the other guys, until Big Show came out, like I say, and raised hell, knocks out Heath Slater, does the best moment of the match, just the best moment of the whole segment. You know, R-Truth tries to knock himself out, and then Big Show just grabs out of him and just choke slams him. Hopefully chokes some of the fucking funniness right out of him, because, you know, R-Truth came out and tried to be funny again, and it didn't work. And I do not like R-Truth. I'm sorry. This funny gimmick that he's got, man, he's not funny. He comes out, runs his mouth, and he tries to be funny again, and he still thinks it was the Slammy Awards. You know, it's not funny. It's ridiculous. And quite frankly, Big Show did probably the best thing of the whole fucking night, because he chokeslammed him, and then he manhandles Ryback after a brawl with Ryback, Big Show, and then Ryback challenges him during the commercial break to a match, which Big Show dominated most of the match, but when Ryback got the fight back, Big Show walked away. Big Show declares himself in the 2016 Royal Rumble and plans on going to WrestleMania to become the WWE Champion. He can't be walking away from that, like, for matches like that in the Royal Rumble. He'll have to fight it out. But Ryback, I don't know what direction Ryback's going, but this whole Big Show, I mean, that Ryback Big Show match was no big deal. You know, it's a nothing match, quite frankly. Big Show dominates most of it. Ryback gets to fight back, and then Big Show runs away like a coward. But it'd be interesting to see what he's like, what happens to Big Show in the Royal Rumble match itself. The next match was a scheduled 6-man tag, which was based off of what happened last week and on SmackDown. I thought it would have been Reigns and the Usos against the League of Nations, but it wasn't. Ambrose stepped up, and considering the issues that Roman Reigns has later on. And it was a good 6-man tag. What do you expect? The former world champion leading Wade Barrett and Rusev against Ambrose and the Usos. And Ambrose and the Usos dominated most of the match. To be honest, from what I saw, they dominated a good majority of it, quite frankly. And then one mistake allows the League of Nations, i.e. Sheamus, to kick the head off the Russos with a bro kick and get the victory. And the League of Nations get a well hard-earned win. But the story of that was not the match itself. It was after the match, because Kevin Owens attacked Ambrose out of nowhere and powerbombed him through the Spanish announce table. A little receipt for earlier on in the evening. And quite frankly, almost killed Dean Ambrose in the process. Like I say, guys, that feud over the Intercontinental Championship is not over by a long shot. You may see another match between these two, probably at the Royal Rumble. But it's not over by a long shot between them two. What was cool to see as well from WWE is them paying tribute to Lemmy, Motorhead legend, founder of Motorhead, probably one of the best, if not the best rock bands, British rock bands, heavy metal bands, whatever you want to call them, of all time, who unfortunately passed away yesterday. And Motorhead's no more, fortunately, due to this. I would imagine, I doubt they'll go out and replace him. He's irreplaceable. He's the founder of the band, and it's a sad day for music. And to be honest, I'll put a link in the description below, guys. Check out my tribute that I paid to Lemmy on my website as well. It's a sad day for music, man. The man who was responsible for Triple H, a majority of Triple H's theme music, plus the Ace of Spades, which was NXT London's theme music as well, is no longer with us. It's a sad day for music, man. I'll tell you. Rock music will never be the same again after that, but it was cool to see the little tribute that they paid, WWE paid to Lemmy as well, which was really, really cool. Not a big deal out of it, not like a huge deal tribute, but it was cool nonetheless. John Cena returned. Yeah, he's back. And goats and challenges the manhood of Alberto Del Rio. And goats Alberto Del Rio goad him into a U.S. title match. Cena won by DQ, thanks to the League of Nations saving Alberto Del Rio's ass. It was a good match, a good main event. Not a big, epic, great main event, but it was a good main event nonetheless. League of Nations did spoil it because Cena had Alberto Del Rio beat. And like I say, guys, as well, there's all these rumors floating around. It may very well be Cena and The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It's pretty much guaranteed, but we all know WWE, they could change their minds. That's why he probably hasn't won, because they're planning for a Undertaker-Cena match at WrestleMania. And then after that, all the beatdown, Vince McMahon returns and makes a match for next week's first Raw of the new year, which I'll be seeing not on a website, but on this fucking TiVo bullshit behind me, which will be Roman Reigns defending the World Championship against Sheamus in his rematch, which we expected, except Mr. McMahon's going to be the special guest referee. Is Roman Reigns in trouble? I don't think so. All in all, guys, a good, solid Raw. Not the best Raw, but it was a good Raw. It was not the best, but it was not the worst. And I'll give that a solid 6 out of 5. 3 out of 5, if you talk in my terms, if I'm scoring out of 5, but I'll give it a 6 out of 10 in, say, Sunday Segway terms as well. And that about wraps this up, guys. That about wraps it up. This video up. Just a quick thing as well. SoCal Val, if you're in the Liverpool area, SoCal Val is coming to Birkenhead, to the Mystery Island. Be sure to check that out as well. I mentioned that on my podcast as well. Episode 91's up. Check out the poll that is in the description below, guys. Get involved on this. I will promote it separately later on, but please get involved on this as well. It involves an article that I read. Would you object to the WWE changing the Divas title to the women's title? check out the poll below. Give your opinions, give your thoughts. I'll promote it separately later on, but the link is in the description below. Check it out. Also, ladies and gents, as well, like I say, episode 40 and 41 of the Max Wrestling Podcast featuring yours truly is up there as well. And a little bit of news. I have agreed to go on the Swerve Network for the podcast as well. I have joined the Max Wrestling Podcast family. That's right. Wrestling Matters Podcast is invading the Swerve Talk Network or the Swerve Network or whatever they're called. I don't know anymore. I'm still recovering from yesterday. But shout out to everybody at the Max Wrestling Podcast as well. Daz, Evan McCabe, the Butcher, who I've talked to on Facebook as well. He even said he's a big fan of me. So salute to you, sir. And I'm looking forward to having you on the podcast as well after Christmas or after the New Year, which we get everything back on square one again. Shout out to everybody as well. Craig Phoenix as well. Shout out to Sunday Segway, OSW TV as well. Only Scottish Wrestling. Be sure to check them out. All the links will be on the website as well if you want more information about that, as well as the Mystery Island and all sorts of stuff as well. My name is Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for watching or taking the time to watch. Check this out on my website as well. Again, a link to that will be in the description below. And until next time, enjoy the rest of the week. If I have anything to bring to you during the week, guys, I'll bring it to you as best I can. If not, I'll see you next week for another Raw review. Also, check out episode 92 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Be sure to check out episode 91 as well. Get involved in that poll that is in the description below on the website. And until next time, guys, MWO for life. Too sweet. See you soon. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. And welcome back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the Raw review there. 500 views that got on YouTube, so thank you very much indeed for that. And yeah, without further ado, guys, let's talk about it. Let's talk about ICW. Now, I'm going to do this in two parts, guys. So part 1 will be in part 3, and part 2 will be in part 4. So stay tuned for the part 2 in part 4, and right now I'll get to part 1. And Friday Night Fight Club kicked off this week with Davey Boy one-on-one with Liam Thompson for the 0G Championship. It was a match dominated at times mostly by Liam Thompson, and a hell of a great wrestling match as well. Back and forth, toe-to-toe, hold for hold, some really, really, really good stuff. There was one point in the match where Liam eventually wanted to use, and I'll admit, had Davey Boy beat, but went to use the 0G Championship. But however, his opponent, January 24th at Square Go, Carmel, provided the distraction. Davey Boy retains the title with a spear and beats Liam Thompson. And then Liam tells Carmel that he can't touch him, that she can't touch him until January 24th. So, but Carmel didn't seem fazed about it, and Carmel then proceeded to announce or remind Liam Thompson of how his match just ended. And then Liam turns around and receives a spear, and then they celebrate. So, good way to kick off the show. Tommy End one-on-one with Big Damo. Now, this was toe-to-toe action at its best. These two smacked the living daylights out of one another, and these two just really went at it. End throwing kicks, and throwing kicks to the point where he nearly took Damo's jaw off. Highlight of the match was a second moonsault on from the outside. From Tommy End got on the apron, he went up, got onto the second rope area, and did a second rope moonsault on the outside on Damo as well, which was a highlight of the match because he did it so smoothly. And Damo couldn't put Tommy End away to the point where he hit him with two of his best finishing moves and he kicked out. He couldn't put him away. He seriously could not put him away. And it takes a Van Damonator to beat Tommy End by Damo, and Damo and Tommy End showed respect to one another and provided some respect, and Damo offered himself to the Legion if they ever need a fourth member, or if they ever need somebody to make it a 4 piece. You know when you're getting like 3-on-4, something like that. If you ever need like a bit more backup, Damo offered his services and said he'd be glad to do it. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the gorgeous Jennifer Louise had a bit of a run-in with the NAK, and NAK looking to intimidate people. Damo says that in 2015 he wants to be the ICW champion. Massimo Italiano as well, shout out to you, sir. Massimo Italiano looking to make a bigger impact in 2016 than he did in 2015. And I'll give him his due, he did make an impact. Also, as well, like I say, Jennifer Louise goes in a confrontation, because if you could check, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, on episode 2 of the Friday Night Fight Club, Jennifer Louise took BT's finisher. Yeah, the NAK finishing maneuver. And more on the NAK later on. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to branch this out as best I can, but that was the end of part 1 of the Friday Night Fight Club. I'll take a little quick time out, and I'll be back in part 4 with part 2 of the Friday Night Fight Club. Then after that, I'll run through Smackdown, and then I'll go through another top 10. I've got another top 10 for you, so be sure to stay tuned for that. So I'll see you in a bit. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, the host and creator of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and a long-time wrestling fan, encouraging everybody to sign a petition to get this man, this little picture in the corner right here, the British Bulldog, into the Hall of Fame where he belongs. There is a long list of people who are not in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, and deserve to be in there. This man's one of them. Okay, I have been a fan of wrestling ever since I was a little child, and the fact that this man is not in the Hall of Fame, quite frankly, is a joke. He deserves it, and you can help sign this petition to get him in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. To sign the petition and show your support, go to www.teamdavyboysmith.com to sign the petition and show your support and help get this man in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. Long live the British Bulldog. Let's get him in the Hall of Fame. My name is Anthony Walker. Peace out. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. This is part 2 of the ICW review, and we are in part 4 of the podcast. So without further ado, let's get right into part 2 of ICW's Friday Night Fight Club. Wolfgang went one-on-one with Kenny Williams. Now, Wolfgang had the power advantage. It was a base of Kenny using his quickness and, Wolfgang using his strength, quite frankly. Wolfgang definitely proved in the match to be too strong for Kenny. Although Kenny, there's one thing, there's a reason they call him the Bollocks. He's got a lot of heart, he's got a lot of balls, he's got a lot of guts too, man. I mean, he took the fight to Wolfgang and hit him with a DDT on the outside. As he did a dive through, he caught him and hit a DDT. That was after a quackbuster. Kenny then hit a Hurricane Rana on him, which was one of the highlights of the match, in my opinion. But all the hard work that Kenny tried to put in to win the match didn't pay off, unfortunately, because Lionheart comes out and super kicks Kenny right in the mouth and costs him the victory. And then the NAK come out and look to do what they did to Veronica Lestrange and the gorgeous Jennifer Louise last couple of weeks ago on ICW's Friday Night Fight Club, which was the 2 episodes that I reviewed on the podcast 2 weeks ago. And they tried to do the same thing to Noam Dar and Kenny. It was working to a point, and then Grado comes out and puts a stop to it, and basically shoots at the NAK, and they put it down, if you will. But as the NAK held hostage, Noam Dar and Kenny hostage, Grado had other plans, because he brought out Davey Boy, who had hold of Stevie Boy. That's right. They had Stevie Boy hostage. And Grado demanded that Chris, should he want to see Stevie Boy in one piece, he demanded that Chris name the date for his title shot. He basically forced him to cash in his briefcase, and he did. And the match was made for the 24th of January at the Square Go. One particular highlight during this tirade, which was Grado calling Kaylee Ray Eva Marie. And you look at Eva Marie, despite the fact Kaylee Ray is talented, but you look at Kaylee Ray and you think, in a way, he's got a point. But I disagree with it at the end of the day, because let's face it, Kaylee Ray's got more talent in her whole body than Eva Marie has in her brain. That's another issue for another day. And the match was made. So the NAK pull a fast one and they attack Simon Cassidy instead and do exactly what they did to Jennifer Louise to Simon Cassidy. Have the NAK gone too far? I'm a big fan of the NAK, but on this occasion, yeah, they did. They went too far. Red abuses his power again, which is nothing new. And Mikey Whiplash one-on-one with Jack Jester in the main event. Jester dominated most of the match. This wasn't a wrestling match, guys. This was a fight. I mean, the fight was in the crowd, and then the fight basically turned into a weapons match, quite frankly, because there was a lot of weapons, tables, barbed wire baseball bats, stairs, you name it, it was used. These two went at it, beat the living dog out of one another, and then the 55 and Red Lightning had to ruin it, because the 55 and Red Lightning came down to get a piece of Mikey Whiplash. That was until, just like when Drew Galloway faced, I can't remember who Drew Galloway faced, but just like what he did to Drew Galloway, he done it again, this time to Jack Jester. And Dallas, instead of coming in the crowd like he did last time when he hit Drew Galloway with the golf club, he comes in from the side of the entrance, comes running in and whacks Jester with the golf club and then legs it. Basically a hit and run, if you will. And that cost Jester the match because Whiplash ended up getting the victory through it. And, Mark Dallas strikes again, quite frankly. And it was the perfect way to end ICW's 4th episode of the Friday Night Fight Club. And I'll give it a 5 out of 5 because it was actually really, really good. Apart from the Cassidy bit, I didn't like that, and I didn't like the. I specifically didn't like what he did when they did it to Jennifer Louise, but Cassidy, yeah. But they did go too far, the NAK. I'm a big fan of the NAK, but they did go too far. And Grado will probably look to end the NAK once and for all at the square goal. But with that being said, that is the end of the ICW review, ladies and gentlemen. Part 2. Hope you enjoyed part 1 and 2. And I'll be back right after this quick timeout, ladies and gentlemen, with Smackdown results, as well as a top 10. Another top 10 for you. Just like earlier on, I've got another top 10 for you. This time, it's the top 10 worst wrestling games. Should be interesting. You want to know how it turns out? Tune in after the break. See you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, I'm going to incorporate everything into one here. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast. In this segment, I'm going to do an outro as well, and pretty much I'm going to talk about SmackDown. I'll get to them in a second. The poll that I did for last week, it was pretty much as I expected it would be. 100% people would have no problem, and they wouldn't change. They would change it back to the women's as well, and they pretty much, in a way, disagreed with that. I think it was pretty much 100% guarantee. Thank you to everybody who took part. I will be doing another one in the future. Now, another top 10 for you guys. First of 2 top 10s, I guess you could say. The second one. This is the second one, quite frankly. It's the same website that I did the top 15 worst wrestling scumbags one earlier on in the podcast. This is the top 10 worst wrestling video games, and believe you me, I have played my fair share of worst wrestling games ever. However, I didn't play number 10, no. I've never played number 10, which was Micro League Wrestling. Now, I believe this was out, I'm pretty much sure this was out for the Nintendo game, the Nintendo system, the NES, the original Nintendo, back in the day. I don't know, I might be wrong on that one. But, yeah, I've seen clips of this, and compared to it, the direction of where games have gone right now and gaming has gone, compare it to where it is now, I could pretty much agree with that situation, quite frankly. But, yeah. Number 9. Many of you people may agree with this, many of you people may not. Number 9. TNA Impact. The only TNA game, okay? The only TNA game which I believe was out for the PS3, okay? It was there for me. I did play this, unfortunately. There was some good stuffs about it, but it wasn't to the scratch of where WWE is now, WWE 2K16, and it was nowhere near on a par of a great wrestling game or an awesome wrestling game. The graphics were horrible, and it looked like, I mean, it was not completely terrible, but it was bad. It really was bad, because there were some good parts to it. You know, the entrances could have been a whole lot better. You know, they could have been a whole lot better on the entrances, but it wasn't. Let's face it. Granted, it was TNA's first game, but it was a disappointment. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, it was a complete disappointment. Number 8, Steel Cage Challenge for the Nintendo, I believe. Yep, the NES. I don't remember this much. This was released in 1992 for the NES and the Sega Master System, and Steel Cage Challenge was a subpar game, to be honest. Featuring 10 wrestlers. You know it's a subpar game when there's only 10 wrestlers in the game, and it was a very straightforward thing, basically. Nothing unique about it at the time. And I believe, according to the back of the case, because I'll actually see the back of the case, and again, guys, I'll leave the link in the description below on YouTube and SoundCloud as well, so be sure to check that out if you hear this, or if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. It's all on you. It's all in the description below. The wrestlers that were featured on this, there was 10 wrestlers overall. Yep, 10 wrestlers overall, and they were IRS, The Undertaker, Bret Hart, DiBiase, Jake Roberts, Rowdy Piper, Psycho Sid, Sid Justice, whatever you want to call him, The Mountie, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Hulk. This was back in the day, round about WrestleMania 8 time. 1992, Royal Rumble, 1992. You would have thought Ric Flair would have been on it, like, but anyway. So, a very subpar video game. I don't remember it that well, but I've seen clips of it. It was very, very poor, no doubt. Now, for number 7. Backyard Wrestling 2. There goes the neighborhood. Never played this, and from the looks of it, I don't think I'd want to play this. Featured Insane Clown Posses and ECW legend New Jack. Had some good songs on it, like, from what I'm seeing here on the back of the case. Featured Andrew WK and Dizzy Rascal. So if you've got them two on there, you know you got some good songs on there as well. Hoberstank, which I believe were TNA. One of their songs was in TNA. Insane Clown Posses, and the list goes on and on. Saliva on there as well. So, a very poor game, but a pretty much very good soundtrack. And from the looks of it, it looks like the WCW Backyard game that was released by WCW back in the day. Backstage Assault, that is. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but it was a horrible game. WrestleMania, the arcade game. Now, if this is what I think it is, I will totally disagree. No, it's not. Thankfully. WrestleMania, the arcade game. And I would probably say, from the looks of it, from what I'm seeing on the picture, this was pretty much like the In Your House game that I do not like. Horrible. I mean, I would imagine playing this game would be playing like Street Fighter 2 or something. You know, wrestling games, alright, don't get me wrong, there was a few successful games that came out for the arcade, wrestling-wise as well. I can remember going to Scarborough, which is not far from where I live, and I put Scarborough, Wrexham, Whitby, them three places. I can remember playing my brother and playing my best friend on one before, but as far as this one's concerned, if you're going to play this one, play In Your House. That was on the PS1, and you would get a first class example rather of what I'm talking about, because that game, God almighty, if that game's not in this countdown, In Your House, I will be greatly surprised. Now, I disagree with this one. ECW, number 5 was ECW Hardcore Revolution. Maybe comparing this to Anarchy Rules. Now, don't get me wrong, guys, I did play this game, okay? I did play this game. I liked it, quite frankly, at the time. But I think the reason why it was bad because it was the makers of the game were the makers of WWF Attitude. WWE's Attitude game at the time, which was WWF's Attitude. So that's why it's probably a disappointment. But I disagree with it being a worst wrestling video games because I actually enjoyed it. I would probably say I enjoyed Anarchy Rules better, but yeah, I at the time I enjoyed it, and I saw it as a nice little build into Anarchy Rules, which I thought was better, quite frankly. But yeah, because it says here the follow-up game Anarchy Rules would fare a bit better, correcting past issues and making it a true ECW game. So, from the sounds of it, they didn't get it right the first time, but it seems they got it right the second time. That was, I believe, number 5, guys. Number 4, let me just check, see if that was number 5. I might be wrong. Yep, that was number 5. Number 4 was, yep, I would probably have to agree with this to a distinction. WCW Mayhem. This is what you get, ladies and gentlemen, when you let the makers, one of 2 wrestling games that was made by the guys that run, I believe, FIFA, Electronic Arts, EA. And boy, oh boy, this was okay. I'll tell you this right now, WCW Mayhem was better than the Backstage Assault. No question about that. But there were some things that were poorly done about it. Shivani and Bobby Heenan were not very good as far as the announcers go on here. They weren't used right. Other issues included not many diverse movesets for wrestlers, an outdated roster, and the creator wrestler system was lacking, very much lacking. What is worse is that there was no need for this game, but WCW decided that they did not want to share video game publisher THQ with rival WWE. So they signed with EA, who had no experience whatsoever in making wrestling games. Another bad decision by WCW. They did not want to share video game publisher with WWE, their rivals, so they joined EA. And it well and truly, guys, backfired on them big time. Maybe if they stayed with THQ, they might have got a decent game. Because let's face it, in my opinion, when it comes to wrestling games, I would say THQ has a good idea of that. Number 3 was WWE Crush Hour. The less said about this, the better, guys, because it was like playing Twisted Metal and Mario Kart and combining them both and calling it WWE Crush Hour. Very poor game. Wrestlers behind machines killing other wrestlers. Speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? It was like playing, I guess you could probably say, guys, it was like playing Robot Wars. And for anybody in the UK will know that show. Number 2 was Royal Rumble, Dreamcast. I didn't play this game, but this was made by THQ. I think the reason why this might have been very poor to many people was because the fact that this was made by THQ, first of all, and at least from what I got, the graphics, or the style of the graphics, was pretty much the same as, a Know Your Role, or, Know Your Role 2, the Smackdown game, the early Smackdown games. I never got to play this, but, make yourself vocal in the descriptions, in the comments below on YouTube, and hell, even on Podomatic as well. Stick your comments on the comments board on, not Podomatic, SoundCloud. Stick them on there. I never really got to play this game, so, and from the sounds of it and the looks of it, maybe I was glad. It was only released in the arcades and the Sega Dreamcast. The WWE released Royal Rumble with the selling factor for the game being that there could be 8 characters on screen at a time. Unfortunately, the game only had 2 game modes. Well, a game sucks when it has 2 game modes, that's all I'm saying. Exhibition and Royal Rumble. Yet the biggest issue was that the game had only a 20 to 22, depending on the console. I could probably, reading that description there, guys, that little paragraph there about it, I could probably see why it was a poor game. And just as I suspected, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little surprised that In Your House was not in this. But the worst game, according to this website, buzztech.com, like I say, I'll put all the descriptions in below. It's the same website that I read the top 15 wrestling scumbags off. This was number 1, Backstage Assault. Oh my god, was this god awful. I don't think I could pick anything good. The only downside to this was Mayhem was actually better. Mayhem was actually better than this, quite frankly. And again, Electronic Arts strike again. Piss poor, to say the least. A game based around a crummy idea that the wrestling game does not need an actual wrestling ring. Yeah. And you wonder why, WWE bought WCW, but it's because of bullshit like this. This was the last video game released by WWE before being bought out in 2001. It had bad gameplay and a poor gimmick, so it was really no surprise that to this day the game only sold around 200,000 copies. And the less said about that, the better, quite frankly. I mean, Jesus Christ. You couldn't even defend a championship. All you had to do was basically just fight backstage. That's all it was. And the clueless putzes at Electronic Arts thought, oh, you know what? Let's make a game. Unfortunately, guys, I have this game. I'm not going to lie. I have, quite frankly, every wrestling game that came out on the PS1. And like they said in the description there, some schmuck at EA thought, oh yeah, let's make a wrestling game without the wrestling ring. What a fucking idiot. Seriously. I mean, like I say, guys, I will put all the links to this in the description below, and you can check it out for yourself, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're listening to this on YouTube or SoundCloud. That's up to you as well. Even check it out on my website as well, theAnthonyWalker.net. Yes, I'm creating a Wix website. I'm more on that another day. Right, while I'm here, I'll go through the Smackdown results and what happened on Smackdown. I won't talk about it too much. I think this was the last and final show before it moved to the USA Network, which starts this week, quite frankly. And it's kicked off with Kalisto and the Dudley Boys defeating New Day. Boy, New Day have had a bad December. Tyler Breeze beats Goldust. Strowman and Luke Harper of the Wyatt family beat the Usos. Alicia Fox and Brie Bella defeated Naomi and Tamina. Bit of an easy night for Dolph Ziggler beating Bo Dallas. And in the main event, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose defeat Sheamus and Kevin Owens by disqualification. And yes, that match ended in a brawl. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. My name is Anthony Walker. For more information on the partners, check out Max Wrestling the UK at Max Wrestling UK on Twitter, Max Wrestling on Twitter. Be sure to check them out as well. Shout out to you guys. Apologies for not coming on the show this week, but I was working. They invited me back on, but I couldn't because I was working. For more on the Mystery Island and OSW TV and the RFPGW as well, the guy who does the wrestling that we sponsor in a way, the wrestling things as well. His own wrestling show on Twitch. Be sure to check him out on my website, theAnthonyWalker.net, at WM Podcast, Facebook.com/WM Podcast. And until next time, guys, my name is Anthony Walker. See you next week. Peace.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14!
Make it till death!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.